Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and the first time I got behind the wheel of a Tesla way back in, I think it was 2016, I was impressed. And then, when I was working at Car Driver Magazine, we got one of the very first Tesla Model 3s on loan for our 10 Best testing. I was one of the first people to drive the Tesla Model 3 from a media perspective, and we were all very, very impressed. And still, all the way here, 10 years later, in 2026, the Tesla Model 3 is one of the coolest cars you can buy here in the North American market. And through this review, I'm going to try to tell you why. So, if you do want to see more on this Tesla Model 3 premium rear-wheel drive, check the link below. We've got a few other videos testing out the fuel economy, or rather energy efficiency, if you will. Also demoing the 9-speaker premium sound system that we have in here. And then we got the members only sound test if you do want a little bit more of an impression of the audio system. And of course, the sun is just starting to come out, which is going to entirely change how I had the car laid out here. And also, let's give a shout out to the video sponsor, LazFit. Now, we put LazFit floor liners in just about all of the cars we review. But when I got the set for this Model 3, I was surprised because they're entirely different than the mats that we've seen in the other cars. And they must have made some sort of improvement because just about everything is better with these mats. They've got both kind of a heavier duty feel to them than the mats we've felt before, but they're also a little bit more pliable, kind of easier to bend and get into your vehicle. Got this nice siping here. You can see how well they go right to the edges. And it keeps coming out for some reason, but it's got a little cutout here for the hole to reach up and get into your underfloor storage, where you have another LazFit liner that fits nicely in there, tray style. Keep that one protected. Then you come into the cabin and you see how nicely this rear liner goes in, tray style again. If you have any sleet, slush, mud, dirt coming in from children's feet or taking passengers or anything like that, you're going to really appreciate how well these liners keep everything consolidated, and they go way, way up under the front seats and under this cargo area so that people's feet back here stay protected, your carpet stays protected. And then coming up, check this out under the driver's liner, really on the driver's liner, tucks in, it's got this metallic dead pedal. I've never seen this on the LazFit liners. Very, very nice, very cool, feels good, looks nice. And if we pop open the frunk, then we see the last LazFit liner here for the Model 3. Nice little, again, tray style for the frunk. So this set's a little bit more expensive because it comes with so much hardware, and I appreciate it that they made kind of a nicer mat for this one. So check the link below. I can get you a good percentage off using the code DailyMotor. They told me it'd be 18% off, but I feel like it's a little bit less than now I've heard from people. So I'm sorry if it's more like 15 or 16%, but still a nice healthy discount for some great liners for pretty much any vehicle, but especially here for the Model 3. I highly recommend them. Big shout out to LazFit. So taking a little look around the car, getting back in and looking at these LazFit mats one more time, you've got a power operated rear lift trunk area. Decent sized trunk, again, for the size of this vehicle. Love having that underfloor compartment there. Love having the side little bits of compartment. And you can pop open the rear seats and fold them. Oh, our music has begun playing. Hush. Unfortunately, no 40-20-40 split fold, so just a 60-40 split. But if you do fold these down, you can do so without adjusting the front seats in a normal, comfortable position. And good amount of usability right there. Like having that. This almost looks like it's removable, but it is not. So you can fold those back up. Good amount of trunk space, I would say. Now you do have quite a few different configurations of Model 3. Now you can get the standard rear-wheel drive, which is more basic, doesn't have as many features, doesn't have the rear screen, which we're about to see here in a moment, doesn't have the same battery, it's a little bit less range, looks a little bit different, but the core essence of the vehicle is going to be about the same. Getting in here, you see this rear screen. It's fairly small, but it provides functionality for HVAC. You do have heated seats back here for the passengers. Yes, you do. Not in the middle, but on the outboards. And the ability to watch videos back here. You could have YouTube or Netflix, Twitch going, something like that. So if you have children, they could sit back here and watch that if you don't want to have an iPad for them or something that they can hold on to. A little place to fold this down and have some cups, have your arms resting, and honestly, as a 5'10" adult, I'm still decently comfortable back here. The seats are a little slippery, but they got a nice recline, slightly upright, but I like to sit with good posture. And at 5'10", my head is just barely clearing this glass that goes all the way back. Even some nice places for coat hangers there. Love having the frunk up front. It adds to the usability of the vehicle. Still have these handles that you got to get used to. You got to be able to kind of get your hand on it just right. Stop playing my music. Why do you want to keep audio playing like that? Pillarless doors. I love how they look. Love how they feel. This one's got the white interior. As you're seeing it, about $41,000 the way it's configured, at least right now in May of 2026. And my goodness, the build quality has improved so dramatically for these cars over the years. Like I said, I drove one of the very early, technically a 2017 model year car, maybe 2018 Model 3. This one, it's come a long way. It really has. Things still feel on the cheaper side. Honestly, it's quite similar to the Mazda CX-5 that I just got out of last week, and similar price point as well, so that's fitting. But the way that everything kind of fits together and works and generally feels from a build quality standpoint is significantly improved. However, what is not necessarily that improved from our older Tesla Model Y is the infotainment system. I still like it. I still think it's much better than any other car on the market. However, you can see when I put it into gear here, if you will, into drive, look at how much space is taken up by this full self-driving kind of car information screen. You've got this giant screen. Why not give us more room for the navigation? I would like to see that. I would like my speed to be larger. As you can see here, it's very small now. It used to be in the center and take up a little more space. I understand they're kind of trying to push the full self-driving, and we'll see that here in a minute, but the infotainment is good, don't get me wrong, but I still think it has room for improvement. So with that, let's get into my pros and cons. And starting off here with my pros, the styling, the build size, and the optimization of the Model 3, I think are all fantastic. I think the Model 3 looks quite a bit better than the Model Y. Some people like the front light bar, but I much prefer these headlights that still kind of look like eyes in a way. They've got a very nice balance between not overly aggressive, but still kind of engaged. They kind of look like a smaller Model S in a way. I think they're very handsome lights. I think the overall design of the car, I don't love or hate it necessarily in black, but I think it, again, it strikes a really nice balance between established and present, but yet sleek at the same time. And then I love the rear lights here on the Highland model. I think everything about the new Model 3, it looks better than the previous, whereas the Model Y, I could kind of go back and forth between the OG and the Juniper. But then also just the fact that you could buy this car, and as just a single person kind of daily driver sort of machine, it's so efficient and feels like a nice, small, light, nimble sedan, but yet you can still do so much from a functionality standpoint. You could still fit 5 people in here. You can still get quite a bit of stuff in the trunk and the frunk, and you could put a roof rack on there. I mean, you could do so much with this car. You can even get it in all-wheel drive. So you can have a smaller footprint in vehicle from an energy standpoint and just a driving enjoyment standpoint, but yet still have it be functional. I really appreciate how well thought out and designed the layout is. Next pro, a little Honda Fit to talk about functional and efficient layout. Next pro, the audio and technology in general in this car. I know I briefly said that I think the infotainment can be improved upon, and I still stand by that. But as I also said, this is the best infotainment system on the market, bar none. For example, just got out of the Mazda CX-5, and similar size screen, but the bugs and the lag and the poor build out and optimization of the screen. And then on top of that, the fact that this is stuck on, the screen here is kind of stuck on the dash, actually improves its usability, because a lot is done down here. But you can take your hand and stabilize it with your fingers and then tap with your thumb. So if you're doing something like climate, you can tap like that, turn it on, bring that up, click around, turn it back off. Look how quickly everything's responding. You can scroll through very easily, get to whatever you need to do. very clearly delineated menus. Yes, it still takes a learning curve, and still it can be overwhelming, especially if you're coming into a car or coming from a car that didn't have much tech. But my gosh, does Tesla do it so much better than the competition. And then the audio. This is not the premium audio system. This is just one step up from bass. It's only 9 speakers, but I still had a great time listening to my music. I listened to really complex music, loud music, and yeah, it doesn't have the billowing subwoofers of the premium system, but gosh, it still sounds good. And I love that Tesla has put quality audio systems in their cars. For the next pro, we're gonna turn the car back on here, get ready to drive. And potentially the most important part about this car is the full self-driving. Now, if you haven't experienced it before, let me just bring up the map. I'll pick a little destination that'll drive us around here. Let's go. And then I'm just gonna tap this, hit start self-driving. Bada bing, bada boom. This is remarkable. I think I just saw a post that Tesla has cleared 10 billion miles on full self-driving or so. So this system is constantly improving, and it's gotten so good. I mean, I've gone out to shoot my drives throughout this week, and I essentially just tell the car where I want to go to start my my video here, and then I just let it go. And oh, why are we coming to a stop right here? Oh, there's a stop sign. See, I didn't even know there was a stop sign there. And I film in here all the time. I usually just blow right through it because this is just an empty industrial park. But again, this car, driving in full self-driving, is going to be safer than majority of distracted human beings on the roads. And I want more and more people to be using Tesla full self-driving so that there are fewer fatalities and accidents out on the road. For only $100 a month, I would absolutely pay that in order to have my car be able to take the stress and the time and the effort out of driving. I mean, look at this, coming nicely to stops, turning right on red, getting going, and if I'm in a hurry, I just turn it up to hurry or Mad Max, and then the car will speed and it will drive quickly and it'll accelerate quickly. And then if I'm uncomfortable, dial it down to something like chill or sloth, and it drives a lot more chill. I mean, full self-driving it's awesome. And it is such it's so leaps and bounds ahead of what anybody else has on the market. I mean, GM's Super Cruise is the closest on the highway, and that's still so rudimentary compared to this system. Next pro, the safety aspect. This car and all the Teslas are some of the safest vehicles on the market, and you have to consider, if you're somebody who cares about safety, if you're somebody who has family, for whatever reasons, if that's important to you, it's kind of hard to argue against how safe these vehicles are in just about every testing scenario. And as somebody with a family, I take that seriously. The last pro, and there are many for this car, but I kind of try to summarize it in sort of 5 or 6 pros. The purchasing experience. We have been fortunate enough to purchase multiple new vehicles, and it's mostly just because of our YouTube channel. It makes sense to purchase a lot of different cars, but I've had to go through the car purchasing experience at multiple dealerships, and it's antagonizing. You're there for hours and you're going back and forth, and there's fees being added here and there, and then you're having to keep a sharp eye on the finance manager because he's trying to wear you down and convince you to purchase various things. But when we purchased our Model Y, we were in and out of there in minutes. I mean, we did the purchase online. It said, haha, cool, we got a little picture of a hedgehog, and we purchased the car, and then we went and picked it up when it was ready. They said, hey, here's how it works, sign some paperwork, off you go. That's how new car, really any car purchasing should work, and it would seriously push me toward buying a Tesla over any other new vehicle because of how smooth it was and how many service centers there are. Starting off here with my cons, and I can get away with doing them all out here on the road. First off, the rear-wheel drive model that I've been driving here, the regen is a little bit lighter than the all-wheel drive Teslas I've driven, and it's just enough so that I'm finding myself having to use the brake pedal somewhat. And as somebody who regularly drives electric vehicles, and we have an electric vehicle in the household, and we used to own a Tesla, I know that regen can be stronger, and one-pedal driving can be stronger in a lot of different vehicles, And something about this rear-wheel drive model, it's lighter, it's only got the motor in the rear, so which means if you're slowing down, then there's even less weight put on the rear axle, which means it just can't regen quite as strong. It makes it so that you got to use the brake pedal a little more often. Definitely not a deal breaker, but something that might push me toward getting the all-wheel drive model. Next con. While this infotainment and the tech suite in the Model 3 is still class leading, that doesn't mean it's perfect. And some of the quirks with the Tesla system drive me absolutely crazy. I'm going to show you one of them when we're out here on the highway. Actually, I don't know if, yeah, you know what, why not? We'll take off to full self-driving. Let's go to self-driving. Oh, car's gotta be in park. Let's turn on just traffic-aware cruise control. So this is gonna be if you don't pay for full self-driving. We'll show you that bug here in a minute when we're out on the highway. But the way I see the Tesla system is it's very much like the iPhone of cars. If you agree to play by its rules and do things how it thinks the best way to do them are, the car's gonna work fantastic. Very, very easy to use, very, very straightforward. Even things like routing with charging. If you go to the chargers that it recommends, everything's gonna work out really well for you. However, if you wanna do things differently, if you don't wanna do the way Tesla wants you to do things, that's where it gets a little difficult. That's where it gets frustrating. It's a car that works really, really well if you play by its rules. But again, full self-driving for an example, if you don't wanna be somebody who's funneling their driving data to Tesla, then guess what? You don't get to participate in that. You don't get to have the best self-driving feature out there on the market if you're not going to agree to funnel all your data to Tesla. So you got to play by its rules if you want to enjoy this car. You're essentially driving a piece of software that you don't exactly own. For some people, that's totally not an issue, but it is worth putting in the cons category. So here we go. We're getting up onto the highway, and I'm acting as though I don't have full self-driving. I'm not paying that $100 a month, and I'm going to set the cruise control as we get up here. There we are. Set the cruise, and then I decide, I don't want to be behind the Chev anymore. I want to change lanes. Wait a minute, did they get rid of that? Oh, I take it back. Okay, so it's not the cruise control that is this issue. It's when you have auto steer on. When you have auto steer on and you want to change lanes, you have to listen to the car go bing bong, every time you enable and disable it in order to change lanes and have that active lane keeping on. There's not another car on the market that beeps at you every time you want to enable and disable the active lane keeping in order to change lanes. Fortunately, I see now that with just normal radar cruise control, you can change lanes, but there's no active lane keeping then. Next con, when you are using full self-driving, you can't set the cruise control. It would be very nice to be able to say, hey, I want you to full self-drive, but I want you to stay at this set speed, or at least as close to this speed as you safely can. Go, buddy, there's a green arrow. If you're going to use full self-driving, you can change the aggression, but you're kind of at the car's mercy as to how fast it's actually going to go. Next con. This is not particularly relaxing of a car to drive. It's got a go-kart feel to it, and my wife Alyssa was driving this car for the first day, and at first she really, really liked it. At first she thought, this is super fun, everything. But then when she got in more of a higher stress traffic sort of situation, she was driving for work, the car was a bit exhausting for her. It's very quick steering, it's very nimble, and if you're not using chill accelerator mode, it's very fast, even in this rear-wheel drive setup. So for somebody who's coming out of a softer sprung, more relaxed vehicle, getting into something like this that's more tightly sprung, that's more wound up, if you will, it feels like you're driving a go-kart or a golf cart. It doesn't feel like you're driving a big spaceship or kind of more relaxing experience. So again, for some people that's going to be a pro, for some people it's going to be a con. The last con is the Tesla factor. Some people love Tesla. Some people appreciate how they're constantly pushing the boundaries of technology and innovation and looking to make these essential computer on wheels better and more improved. Some people don't like Tesla. They don't like how they operate as a business, and they don't like Elon Musk. Now, I don't think Elon Musk is a great guy. I think he's made that pretty apparent with a lot of his actions with the federal government over the last year or so. I don't think he was a good guy before that. I think you have to be pretty ignorant to think that he all of a sudden became this person. People are who they are throughout most of their lives. You can change a little bit, but a leopard can't hide their spots, if you will. However, I don't think any CEOs are great people. I don't think Mary Barra of GM or Chris Farley of Ford or, name your person, Akio Toyota, I don't think any of them are necessarily great people. I don't think you become that rich, and I don't think you become that sort of leader by being a philanthropist. You just don't go into that line of work, and you don't make the cutthroat type of decisions that you have to in order to get to that point in your life and to climb your way up the ladder. You don't get there by being just a jolly good fella. So, if I'm going to buy any new car, I'm relinquishing some of my hard-earned money to somebody who has made quote-unquote evil decisions to get some of that money. I mean, Henry Ford was an asshole. Walt Disney was an asshole. Elon Musk is an asshole. But he's created one of the best cars and most forward-thinking car companies of the 21st century. Actually, he didn't even really create it. He just bought into it at the right time. He saw the opportunity. There were other people who started Tesla and kind of birthed it into what it is. So, I don't think you should withhold yourself from having and participating in one of these fantastic vehicles just because the CEO is somebody who you wouldn't ideologically line up with. Because I don't think you're going to ideologically line up with just about any car CEO. Only possible caveat to that would be Rivian. I do think that guy, the CEO of Rivian, is he seems like somebody who is really in it for the right reasons and has his heart there. But again, he's ultimately there to make money. So that's about most of what I'll say about Tesla. I think you can own the cars without necessarily supporting Musk. So, wrapping up my thoughts here on the Model 3. I really like it. I do. It would be hard for me to decide between this or the Model Y. I think the Model Y is more comfortable, it's more practical. Model 3 is more efficient and more fun. Model 3 is also a little bit less expensive. I think the Model 3 looks better. So it'd be tough for me. I could see having a Model 3 and a Model Y in the household. I really could. But the Model Y is also the best-selling car in the world. And we see right here, this lineup of cars in Irvine, we have Model Y, Model Y, Model Y, an electric GLC plugged in. Huh. Then we have Honda Clarity plugged in, pretty cool. We have Model Y, Model Y, Model Y, Mirai, no, Prius plug-in, right? Model 3, ID4, Model 3, Model S, and Model 3. Interesting that the Model 3s are all parked near the end. Pretty cool car. Definitely still has its flaws, but I quite like it. So with that, we do need to put it on the Daily Motor Leaderboard. Current leaders on the Daily Motor Leaderboard: Kia K4, Toyota Sienna, and Lexus RX. Only one of those costs less than the Model 3. Kia K4 is really good for a lot of people. The Model 3 is pretty darn good too. I'm more impressed by the Model 3, don't get me wrong. But I do think pound for pound, cost for cost, vehicle to vehicle, and what it offers for people, the Kia K4 still a better car overall for more buyers. But if you can comfortably afford a Model 3 and you have a place to charge it, my goodness, do I love this car. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Tesla Model 3, check the link below. Big shout out to LastFit for sponsoring the video, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.